Welcome to Principles of Management. This lecture will be looking at Chapter 16, Control. The learning outcomes include describe the basic control process, discuss the various methods that managers can use to maintain control, and describe the behaviors, processes, and outcomes that today's managers are choosing to control their organization. Control is a regulatory process of establishing standards to achieve organizational goals, comparing actual performance to standards, and taking corrective actions when necessary to restore performance in those standards. Control is achieved by behavior and work procedures conform to standards and when company goals are accomplished. The control process has several steps. The first step of the control process is setting standards. Standards are the basis of comparison for measuring the extent to which organizational performance is satisfactory or unsatisfactory. Standards must enable goal achievement. Companies must determine standards by listening to customers' comments, complaints, and suggestions, or by observing competitors. And standards can also be determined by benchmarking other companies to determine their standards. Identify the companies against which to benchmark those standards and collect data to determine other companies' performance standards. The next step in the control process is to compare actual performance to performance standards. The quality of the comparison depends largely on the measurements and information systems a company uses to keep track of performance. The better the system, the easier it is for companies to track their progress and identify problems that needs to be fixed. The next step in the control process is to identify performance deviations, analyze those deviations, and then develop and implement programs to correct them. Regular, frequent performance feedback allows workers and managers to track their performance and make adjustments in effort, direction, and strategies. Control is continuous, dynamic, cybernetic process. Managers must repeat the entire process again and again in an endless feedback loop. It continues over time, and it requires daily, weekly, and monthly attention from managers to maintain performance levels as at the standard. The three basic control methods are feedback control, concurrent control, and feed-forward control. Feedback control is a mechanism for gathering information about performance deficiencies after they have occurred. Concurrent control addresses the problem inherited in feedback control by gathering information about performance deficiencies as they occur. And feedback forward control is a mechanism for gathering information about performance deficiencies before they occur. Control loss occurs when behavior and work procedures do not conform to standards. To determine whether control is worthwhile, managers need to carefully assess regulation costs, that is, whether the costs of unintended consequences of control exceed its benefits. Cybernetic feasibility is the extent to which it is possible to implement each of the three steps in the control process. Managers can use 5 different methods to achieve control in their organization: bureaucratic, objective, normative, concerted, and self-control. Bureaucratic control is a top-down control in which managers try to influence employees' behavior by rewarding or punishing employees for compliance or non-compliance with organizational policies, rules, and procedures. Bureaucratic control has several characteristics. By encouraging managers to apply well-thought-out rules, policies, and procedures in an impartial, consistent manner to everyone in the organization, bureaucratic control is supposed to make companies more efficient, effective, and fair. Ironically, it frequently has the opposite effect. They are highly resistant to change and slow to respond to customers and competitors. With its clear lines of authority, specialized units, and standardized tasks, bureaucracy facilitates efficiency at scale. In many companies, bureaucratic control has evolved to objective control, which is the use of observable measures of employee behavior or output to assess performance and influence behavior. There are 2 kinds of objective control: behavior and output control. Behavior control is regulating behavior and actions that workers perform on the job. Instead of measuring what managers and workers do, output control measures the results of their effort. With normative control, a company's widely shared values and beliefs guide workers' behavior and decisions. Normative controls are created in two ways. First, the company that uses normative controls are very careful about who they hire. Second, with normative controls, managers and employees learn that they should and should not do by observing experienced employees and by listening to the stories they tell about the company. Conservative controls are based on beliefs that are shaped and negotiated by work groups. Conservative controls usually arise when companies give work groups complete autonomy and responsibility for task completion. High autonomous work groups evolve through two phases as they develop conservative control. In phase one, group members learn to work with each other, supervise each other's work, and develop the values and beliefs that will guide and control their behavior. The second phase in the development of conservative control is the emergence and formulation of objective rules and guides and control behavior. Self-control, also known as self-management, is a control system in which managers and workers control their own behavior. Individuals who manage and lead themselves establish self-control by setting their own goals, monitoring their own progress, rewarding or punishing themselves for achieving or for not achieving their self-set goals, and constructing positive thought patterns that remind them of the importance of their goals and their ability to accomplish them. Successful companies find a balance that comes from doing 3 to 4 things right, such as managing costs, providing value, and keeping customers and employees satisfied. Most companies measure performance using standard financial and accounting measures such as return on capital, return on assets, return on investments, cash flow, net income, and net margin. The balanced scorecard encourages managers to look beyond such traditional financial measures to 4 different perspectives on the company's performance: the customer, internal, innovation, and learning, and the financial perspective. The traditional approach to controlling financial performance focuses on accounting tools such as the cash flow analysis, balance sheet, income statements, financial ratios, and budgets. These tools need to be used together when assessing a company's financial performance. The volume and complexity of all this data makes simplifying focus of a balanced scorecard valuable. Conceptually, economic value added is not the same thing as profit. It's the amount by which profits exceed the cost of capital in a given year. It is based on the simple idea that capital is not necessary to run a business and that capital comes at a cost. Rather than poring over customer satisfaction surveys from current customers, studies indicate that companies can do a better job of answering the "how do customers see us" by closely monitoring customer defection, that is, by identifying when customers are leaving the company and measuring the rate at which they are leaving. Unlike the results of the customer satisfaction surveys, customer defection and retention have great effect on profit. The third part of a balanced scorecard is the internal perspective consistent of the process and decisions and the action that managers and workers make within the organization. Quality is typically defined and measured in 3 ways: excellence, value, conformance, and expectations. Innovation and learning perspective involves continuous improvement in ongoing services and products, relearning and redesigning creation processes, and maximizing sustainability. The 4 levels of sustainability range from waste disposal, which produces the smallest minimalization of waste, to waste prevention and reduction, which produces the greatest minimalization. 3 stages: prevent and reduce waste, good housekeeping, material product substitution, and process modification. At the second level of sustainability, recycle and reuse, wastes are reduced by reducing material as long as possible or by collecting material for on or off-site recycling. At the third level of sustainability, waste treatment companies use biological, chemical, or other processes to turn potentially harmful waste into harmless compounds or useful byproducts. The fourth and lowest level of sustainability is waste disposal. Waste that cannot be prevented, reduced, recycled, reused, or treated should be safely disposed of in processing plants or in environmentally secure landfills that prevent leakage and contamination of soil and underground water supplies. Once again, I appreciate everyone taking the time to listen to this lecture. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out.